So welcome everybody for the end of the start. So we're wrapping up the first day program at Here to Start Fest, third edition. So 3 years doing this consecutive and thinking about going for the next year offline or hybrid event so we can all meet and greet. For now, we're really happy to host actually this event where so many international speakers are joining, more than 40 speakers. And now it's time to really hop on into the Netherlands, our country where we are founding all this movement around international entrepreneurship, and we're going to be focused on Dutch startups and entrepreneurial ecosystem. So actually what the Netherlands has to offer, we're going to go a little bit on a virtual tour and introduce you to two amazing cities. One city I knew myself before coming to the Netherlands, Rotterdam. Okay, who doesn't know Rotterdam? 90% of all the products that come to Europe come to Rotterdam, so it's quite popular. But there's another city really close to Amsterdam where I live that is called Utrecht. I can pronounce it properly. Utrecht, and sometimes people say Utrecht. We don't know so many things about Utrecht when we don't live in the Netherlands, but then it's really popular because it's right in the center of this country. So I'm really happy to introduce you to our guest speakers from Rotterdam and from Utrecht, and they're going to tell you all about who they are and what is business, in those regions where the business clusters and opportunities when you're starting a business in the Netherlands and look into these specific regions. I invite everybody to join with your questions via the chat. Grab your drink. I'm here really sponsored by WeWork. They are providing the space, by the way. Thank you, WeWork, for this room. And ready for you, Laura.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. Thanks for being here and inviting me.
Of course, always happy to see you. Laura, I'm really, really honored because right now your weekly event is happening and you're here with me.
Yeah, that's right. like you are running an amazing event today, and we also opened up physically again today, so something really exciting. There's actually 30 entrepreneurs back into our home base today.
Amazing. Well, I used to go to Rotterdam Venture Cafe like all the time I could. And so gathering more like 300 people was amazing. You had a wristband like to exchange, contact details. Like, bam! Now we're in contact. That was amazing. Congratulations.
Happy to hear that. Yeah, that's what we try to do basically every week and every day of the week. It's really to connect innovators and to see how we can help them grow their ideas, grow their business, grow themselves. And that's a really exciting business to be in.
So welcome, and welcome not only because you know a lot about internationals as well that come to these gatherings, but you as a local key player, you can tell us a lot about what it takes, to start a business, what Rotterdam has to offer, and how you as a community leader are gathering and having all these people together in one room. It takes a lot to put the right people in one room, and you managed to do that. Congrats and welcome.
Thanks again.
Second guest, Jasper. Oh, let's try your last name. For Jasper, it's more complicated. For Laura, I can say it Van Veeken. Laura Van Veeken. Now, Laura Van Veeken. And now let's go to Jasper. Hello.
Hey.
Welcome.
Well, nice to have me.
Two amazing ladies here representing your city, Utrecht.
Absolutely.
Welcome. I'm really happy that we met actually because of the Here to Start Fest. And, I learned everything that you're doing at Utrecht Inc. and how you're trying to also bring the attention what Utrecht is cooking. In the end, it's about creating a nice recipe all together with the right ingredients, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Great metaphor, I would say.
So a little introduction about yourself and what you're doing at Utrecht Inc. And then we have a lot of nice questions to talk about today.
Absolutely. So, it actually, a part of my story also started in Rotterdam because I once studied there at Erasmus University, both business administration, marketing, and philosophy, which I really enjoyed. So I stayed there for about 7.5, 8 years or something like that. And but I'm originally actually from here, or pretty close by to Utrecht, a small village called Bilthoven. And now I'm back here again at Utrecht Inc., which is what I think one of the top 3 coolest startup incubators in the Netherlands, specifically for sort of highly scalable tech startups that are in their the early stage of their startup. And I think we can talk a lot about that. What we're specifically doing, where we're located at the Science Park here in Utrecht, at the campus of the university, and where also the university hospital is, etc., etc. So there's a lot of nice buzz going around, as being the largest campus, science campus in the Netherlands. So there's a lot of cool things happening, I would say. But we come back to back.
Should I move? Should I move to Utrecht?
Sorry?
A good dilemma. I'm thinking, because many people, as I said before, if you're not based in the Netherlands now, you don't know about Utrecht. And then you come and everybody's like, yeah, it's so central, everything is so easy. And then it's like, interesante, Like for everybody who's watching from Latin America, from Colombia, we're having two amazing cities here. And also we have Estonia, so also a small country with a compact ecosystem. So that's a great thing to bring together. And I think that one thing that I can say after 10 years in the Netherlands is that things are organized here. So you can see the Dutch map, of course. Everything goes on time. No chaos whatsoever about what we're used to, like traffic jams, meeting a lot of strangers in the street, actually not meeting anybody in the streets out of coincidence, So so it's a country where you can go from A to B in 3 hours? From Maastricht, it's quite small. So that makes it really accessible, like meeting the right people, going to the city saying, Laura, I really like you, I'm going to grab a coffee with you in 40 minutes or 1 hour. Normally that takes a traffic jam in my city. In Bogota is like that, So this is really easy and a great place to start a business and to connect also with other cities and think, why not, why not to create a network that goes beyond your location, So location, we're going to be talking about what is there, what is in your cities, in your provinces, and also how we can join forces at national level to really support internationals looking to start their business here or to scale up to the Netherlands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So shall we get started? Yeah, shall we? So I have the first question. It's a little bit long. Maybe Laura can start answering. Of course, Jasper, you're welcome to hop on anytime. The first question.
Please make this an open discussion, indeed.
Exactly, that's the definition of a discussion panel. This is what we're doing. So, what are the main characteristics of the Dutch startup and entrepreneurial ecosystem that basically every international should take into account when starting their business? So, I'm Maria, I want to start a business. What should I have in my mind in that moment when thinking about the Dutch startup and entrepreneurial ecosystem? Laura?
Yeah, I think you already mentioned one of them when you compared the Netherlands to Estonia, a small market. I think that's definitely something that applies to the Netherlands as well. It's a small one, but you could also see it as perhaps a little bit like Silicon Valley. Maybe not in terms of the size, the precise size, but in terms of having everything close by, the ability to get access to different innovation hubs like Utrecht Inc. or other cities in the Netherlands. I think that's definitely a big plus of and something that characterizes the Dutch ecosystem. And I think it also surely has an attractive location when you compare it to Europe. You often hear that the Netherlands is also called the gateway to Europe, and that's for a reason, because of the proximity of many countries and many large ecosystems such as France and Germany around us. So I think that surely is also an interesting point. Yeah, and I think in the Netherlands there is also a lot of attention from the government when it comes to innovation, and they really understand the value of innovation. And probably that's also one of the reasons why I think last year we were ranked number 5th or the number 5 in the Global Innovation Index. I mean, it says something about how a country perceives innovation and what it does to kind of stimulate the economics of it.
100%. So why is the Netherlands such an innovative place? What do you think, Jasper?
Well, that's a good question. Well, maybe one of the things, and I could say there's probably something. There's a good side and a bad side of it, but that people can be very direct with one another. So and that can, and I would say, from my experience, even in Rotterdam, that's even more extreme than I would say in Utrecht. But there's definitely some bad sides of it, but there's also a good side that when you sit down with people and that you are connected on this with the same interest or something like that, that ideas can exchange very swiftly and well, and therefore, if you get past that sort of rough edge, which I think a lot of people definitely from Latin America will experience, that you will find that can also help to move forward more quickly, because it's sort of more direct, more open in that sense. And once you get past that, sort of that first maybe rough experience with that, it can help also a lot, I would say. And,
in a nutshell, when a Dutch person tells no, what do you say as an international? Thank you. It's like, you're saving me so much time. You know how many coffees I need to have in Colombia to close a deal? It's a lot of hours. And best friends and meeting the family and going for barbecue, you understand? It's like not even having a bitter ball, not even the croquette moment. And you say, no, I don't want to have your business. And please do not take that personal. No offense. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's absolutely the case. And then maybe you could even try it again to restate your proposition later, or even in that moment. And it can still be that someone says, okay, yes. So even if you get neglected the first time, that doesn't mean that will happen the next time, because it's in that sense not personal.
There's second chances are definitely an option.
Yeah.
A place for the second chance. I like it. We could work on the country branding of this country, like, bam, yeah, of course. Second chance is good. Don't take it, because some people say in business, you cannot take a no for an answer. Yes, you can, because you're learning. You're a startup. You're not from the Netherlands. You need to learn. And the faster, the better. And the no's are really good, The ghost is like, it's going to give you the right path. Like, hey, this is the way you should go. When you pitch that idea, that's the faces that people are making. And then you can make it to a half-an-hour meeting or a nice kennismaken, with the right people. Yeah. So that's important. First of all, my Dutch is not good. So let's talk about your locations, What are the main strengths of your city, and why should internationals consider starting the business in that city, but also the region, what the region has to offer and how the regions are also shifting to make it more attractive? What's the strategy? I make a lot of questions in one, but you understand the idea.
True that.
Who wants to continue? Jasper, you were like...
Yeah, shall I take it first? Okay, yeah, and I do think, of course, when we talk about a city level, it's a bit different, of course, what I think that we as Utrecht Inc. concretely do, and I also think what Laura is doing with her organization, which are trying to maybe have sort of same goals, but in a different, with a different how. Well, that's a good question. How it's different? You could also say, of course, probably it's more connected to what kind of knowledge clusters there are sort of connected to the city or the region in that sense. And I would definitely say that Utrecht has a very strong root in sort of these health tech related companies. I think we're pretty good in that. We have some very interesting examples of that because of, well, having the biggest university hospital connected to us, et cetera, et cetera. We have startups that are very good and very connected to sort of edtech of educational technology, or how to use technology to scalably teach people something within any context, way, shape, or form. And I think that's pretty well connected here. And in the broader sense, maybe also things that are connected to sort of climate tech, or startups that try to do something with the sustainability part. Mm-hmm. And maybe in general, that is true to also the IT faculty here in the university, and a couple of successes that once started here at Utrecht Inc. is sort of these highly scalable tech startups in general, right? That had just completely focused on a sort of tech infrastructure for example, Channable, or once GitLab also came from via Utrecht Inc. And yeah, those kind of, I think, are good examples of that. And I do believe like Rotterdam has a very different set of knowledge strengths and networks, etc. Than. And
in the end, it's all about diversity. So it's good that you get to see the whole map and say, hey, these people are about this and these people are about that. You know,
I think from our experience, what we're trying to do also in the ecosystem is, of course, trying to connect one another to places where they can be better helped in a way. That could be either in Delft or in Rotterdam or Utrecht. And once you're sort of in the network and in the ecosystem, then yeah, these things happen.
100%. So let's connect some dots and go to Laura. What is happening in Rotterdam?
We'll connect the dots for sure. No, I think in Rotterdam, a lot of it is also tied to resilience. I would say it's pretty much in the DNA of a lot of Rotterdammers, and that's mainly because of our history as well. I would say World War II. I think some of you may know that the city got completely destroyed by then, and kind of that resilience and rising from the ashes, and really the rebuilding, and the focus on the new architecture, but also that spirit is what really identifies or matches with Rotterdam. And the slogan is here, make it happen. It's something that you see a lot in the city, and I think it really resonates with the entrepreneurial ecosystem here as well. So you can feel it in the air. It's vibrant. There's a lot of energy here, but it's also straightforward. I think Jasper mentioned that in the beginning. We're straightforward. We're honest. Maria, you've experienced it yourself. What you see is what you get. I think niet lullen maar poetsen is a nice way of putting it. So don't talk, but roll up your sleeve and get back to work. That's kind of the image and the ethics around the city. But aside of that DNA aspect or that environment aspect, if you really look at the innovation ecosystem, I think you can find that there too. Of course, with the Port of Rotterdam at its heart. So I think that's something that differs when compared to Utrecht, and that may be something that you were hinting on, Jasper. But the maritime and the offshore industry is surely something that there's a lot of focus on here. You also see a lot of initiatives from that in the city to really develop hubs around the port, and the port has a very high ambition in general. Rotterdam has a lot of ambitions, I must say, but they really want to become the most sustainable port in the future. So you see that there's a lot of innovation hubs that are arising, such as Rotterdam Makers District and RDM, really to offer a space for all of those innovations and entrepreneurs to kind of gather and focus on the future of the port. But also when you speak about resilience, how can you bounce off the effects of major events, also with that war history? How can you ensure that you're ready for digitalization, for water floods potentially in the future? I mean, the Netherlands is a country of water, has always battled the water from a historical perspective. So, for instance, we have the first floating farm here in Rotterdam as well. It's a nice example, I think, of great things that are happening in the Netherlands. So there's in the harbor you'll find a floating farm where cows are being kept. You can get your milk from there. Actually, at our hub, CIC, the Cambridge Innovation Center, they're serving the milk as well from produced at that farm. So we also aim to produce and buy a lot locally. But also Blue City is a great example, I think, a hub that's really focused on circular economy. A former pool that's been rebuilt into a full circular hub, where they're now making fruit leather, for instance, from mango peels and many other innovative solutions. So I think, the port is there. Resilience is really big in Rotterdam, but also life sciences and health is surely a big sector here. And I think clean tech and mobility, you see those sectors represented here as well.
Amazing. And Rotterdam, I can say that this is true. Because sometimes, you have the marketing and then you have reality. What you're saying and testify is true from both cities. Because in the end, in the end, it's about recovery. In the end, it's about what we're bringing together, and also not even to go back to the war now with the pandemic. All these moments that are now first bringing the first 30 people in the same room. Finally face to face. We are in these uncertain times where we need to have a bigger picture. We need to see what's happening, and also for us as internationals, we need to be aware of what's the local reality. I unfortunately met a lot of internationals that are not having Dutch friends, or that are not mixing. I need to say that's a reality. So the more we get the local culture, the more we can build relationships closely with local players, the faster it's going to go, not only in life but also in business. Understanding
Absolutely.
what's the struggle, what's the challenge. You have challenges per provinces. I'm also curious about those challenges. Per province, and what type of talent is called. What type of talent is required, not only for employment but also for creating business solutions. So if you can also add something about the province perspective, and what do you see like that is happening now that is going to also be happening in the upcoming years, in terms of what type of business is a perfect match for your local reality.
Do you want to shoot at that first, Lara, or shall I? Because there was a lot. There was a lot in this talk. I think we could also separately speak about a couple of things. Of course, that is probably very important for startups, for anyone that's starting a business. Of course, to learn how to get beaten up and get up again. And therefore, I would say definitely Rotterdam is a beautiful example in the city itself that tries to do that, and probably is one of the most important things to learn, maybe in general, but definitely in context to startups. And well, there are many other things that I think were definitely interesting. The other thing is, of course, that if you would like to come to the Netherlands, it's probably important to know and to learn how to deal with the culture, which is very different to, for example, Colombia or other countries in Latin America. And therefore, it can, I imagine, be quite hard. Just like you say, a lot of people that are from outside of the Netherlands probably find it pretty hard to find Dutch friends in general, because well, most of the things is because the language is, of course, a barrier. But when you try to speak Dutch, most of the time they will switch out of politeness to English. So you have to demand that they will speak Dutch to you. And that you can just do that, but you have to be comfortable with that. And one of the other things is, I think definitely for the Netherlands, you have to really allow yourself to invite yourself to places, to Dutch friend groups or to talks and that kind of stuff. And that can be, I think, very far out of most people sort of comfort zone, but probably very important to do so. And that's, I think
I always get this question like, so Maria, you have a lot of Colombian friends in the Netherlands. I'm like, I mean, if I come all the way to the Netherlands to just look for Colombian friends so I can do the Shakira movement and eat empanadas, what am I doing? I mean, for all my Colombian friends in the Netherlands, I love you, but okay, this is not why we come here. We want to see what's happening, and to really integrate into the culture so we can have a closer look on what's happening. And for my own business development, when I came here 10 years ago, I needed to do it. I was in the position of I need to find my way, and I need to connect with locals so I can understand what is required from these IND papers that I don't get, not only because of the Dutch, but because of how the business works.
True.
So it's really, really important what you're saying, Jasper, to invite yourself, not to be shy, like to wait that somebody invites you, or, be proactive about bringing, everything that you have to talk to people, right?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So how can you do that? Because we also have a question here about what should every international entrepreneur do before deciding to start your business. You're thinking, I need to create a local network, right? I need to integrate or understand how things happen. So what will be your advice on what do you need to take into account before even starting?
Yeah, so it depends, of course, what context, and I can imagine there are various different kind of sort of starting businesses, I would say. And I think I know a little bit about sort of the tech or software side of doing that. And then I would say try to validate a lot of the assumptions that are underlying your idea of your startup already, of course, in your home country where you are right now, and then maybe only think later on what would be a strategic move to, for example, move to the Netherlands or to Europe or whatever. And then it's probably helpful if you already validated some of these assumptions in where you are right now, because then you would take a lot less risk of moving here, and then you not only have to adapt to a different culture, and that's probably quite an intense experience. There's different probably a different amount, different costs, that kind of stuff, and it also costs quite a lot to build up the network that you don't have here yet. So therefore, you probably want to validate a lot of the business stuff already at home. Therefore, when you have that, and then think, hey, it's probably smart to move to the Netherlands or another place in Europe, then go with that to organizations like You to Think or Laura's organization with that, and then see who you get referred to, or what would you get back from that. But it's probably better to validate a lot of these assumptions where you are right now instead of making the move, I would say. That would be the first step, I would say.
Thank you for that. Laura, something else that people should take into account before.
I think this is a great advice. Yeah, and I think in general, Venture Cafe and myself, we work with a lot of partners that can really offer help as well, and kind of or offering a helping hand kind of in that process of making that decision. And I think indeed due diligence and really understanding the market and to see if there's a cultural fit, those are super important things to validate up front. And there's local embassies that can support you. There's the RVO, a governmental organization that can support you and also offers help in kind of startup visa trajectories. To actually get permits here to work. And I think also the Chamber of Commerce is certainly one not to forget if you're exploring the market, because they can also really offer support and help in setting up your business here. And not only kind of the process side of it, but also, the practical things like how do you start, how do you register, how can you do your taxes, how can you ensure that this is going to be a good fit for you. Yeah, and I think in terms of advice, what I've seen here in the community, I mean, pre-COVID, we gathered 300 people every week, right? So I got to speak to a lot of innovators, entrepreneurs, scale-ups, investors, corporates, you name them. But what I've really seen, what works best is entrepreneurs talking to other entrepreneurs who've done it before, because they can offer such great learnings, insights that you may not get from other organizations or from just looking things up on the internet, but really investing indeed, like you mentioned, Maria, into that network and understanding what entrepreneurs who've done it before you have learned from it and what they can recommend you. I think that's something that I would surely recommend everyone to do.
Laura, you just did my elevator pitch. Thank you. That's exactly what I wish 10 years ago somebody will come like now I am for other entrepreneurs. Because, of course, the Colombian in the Netherlands is a good sale. In the end, people want to see how you did it and what was the struggle, what are the challenges, how to do it when you're not from here, right? Like that's the whole value proposition of having Here to Start as the place to gather a community where you not only access to experts and key players, but also peers, people who are in the same level, struggling about the same things, and you're not like the crazy person in a Starbucks or whatever thinking what to do, mention Starbucks, but actually coffee companies also very good. So in the end, what we want is to be there and to create that sense of community is really needed. And part of the mission of what we have also by being co-founded by the NL Alumni Network that gathers all the international students and alumni are also bringing the perfect, transition for the next career steps and promoting entrepreneurship as something to consider, not only look for a job immediately, but what about having an entrepreneurial mindset and starting a business in the Netherlands. So that's also the seed we're planting, not only for people who are not in the Netherlands yet, but really high-skilled migrants that are graduating like me, like from master's, PhD, and then what to do with all this talent, right? So I'm also curious in that line about how you see the whole entrepreneurial landscape changing, like with COVID situation, with all the internationals in the Netherlands. How do you see it?
Yeah. Shall I take that question first?
Yes.
So it's interesting, of course, what we do is Think as a startup incubator, and we have this sort of ecosystem in which we try to connect these various network layers together. So there's network layer of experts, of notary, of lawyers, of accountants. There's this network layer of mentors that all have an entrepreneurial background. In the Netherlands, it's for these early stage of the biggest mentor network with these entrepreneurial background. Also investors and trainers and peers. There are about 200 more than 200 startups that went through our ecosystem and through our programs. And specifically, we have these programs which go straight through all these network layers, you could say. And they, of course, could potentially be also interesting for, these highly talented, very ambitious people that are setting up a startup, wanting to work in, this sort of high-paced tech startup environment. Because I'm right now at the Rink, and there are always about 50 startups around me or something like that. So that's a very nice thing to sort of be in at the moment you would like to have that. So I do believe, and specifically we have actually a track also for people that are doing it from a science perspective, from directly from science and that kind of stuff. So there are definitely some you could say good acceleration points or moments where you want to make it a step more serious, and then try to apply for one of our programs that will try to help you in a 10-week program to get to sort of the next step and get connected very actively to the people in our ecosystem, or of course other ecosystems just like Laura's or yours or whatever in the Netherlands, to help you hopefully make that next step. So to increase your odds of success in that sense within our specific scope of what we are good at and what we can help with, of course. But that will be a sort of a general answer to that.
Thank you for that. Laura, what about you?
Yeah, I was just thinking, you ended the question with in the current situation, like with the pandemic, what happened or what changed, and that triggered me because, obviously it changed a lot, especially for us. As I mentioned, we brought together 300 innovators every week. We got to see the struggles of entrepreneurs. We could directly help them with that, and if you have to do that on Zoom or platforms online, that's very different because we really believe that at the core, if you can look each other into the eye physically, standing across from one another, you really understand if you can help each other and if you want to do business with one another. And of course, I mean, we've been able to bring all of our programming online, and we did it successfully, and we were still able to help quite some people to kind of navigate them through the ecosystem in the Netherlands and to guide them to the right parties. What we spoke about, I'm so proud and happy that we can actually do this physically again, because it sparks so much being able to interact with one another in person. And of course, it also posed a number of opportunities. I mean, Venture Café Rotterdam is part of an international organization. We have locations in the US and in Asia and in Sydney in Australia. But also in Europe, in Warsaw. And this really opened up the opportunity to connect with ecosystems all over the world. And that was also super interesting to see. So all of a sudden we could invite speakers from other countries to join our program, but we could also link, like you're doing today, we could link startups from different ecosystem to one another so that they can interact and learn from one another. And I think that's also something very, very valuable. And I think just on a side note, what we've seen, COVID impacted a lot of people personally as well, right? I feel that a lot of people have evaluated or did a bit of a self-evaluation even, like, am I on the right track? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And I really sense that. And that's also why we created one of the programs. It is the Venture School and it's starting now. But really a track with programming specifically for that, to kind of uncover what your mission in life is and whether you're still on the right track and where you still stay true to your values. That's mainly a couple of trends that I've seen over the past year.
And what you're saying can sound a little bit like namaste, but it's true. I mean, for solo entrepreneurs and people who are just founding this with one or two co-founders, if this is not really what keeps you awake, what keeps you going forward, don't do it. It can be like, oh yeah, you're going to get rich out of this. Okay, I'm not happy with this. This doesn't really represent who I am. So stop it. I think that part of the luxury problems that we have by starting our own business is that we get to choose, right?
Right.
But that choice, not only what's my business, but also who's my client, who's my partner, who's my co-founder. All those are choices that are going to affect you in your day-to-day life, So
exactly. Why are you on Earth, right? And what makes you tick?
100%. Yes, we have a question here from one attendee from Colombia. What a coincidence! we have Colombia from last year. We had Colombia as guest country, so we have a lot of people from Colombia in this event as well. So her question is, what is the main concern that Dutch people have when doing business with countries like, for instance, Colombia, with 6 hours difference? Well, now it's like 7 hours during summer and an ocean in between. That sounds really good. But yeah. So what is the approach, especially about Dutch culture and doing business with people who are not here yet, like business owners who are not in the Netherlands yet?
Oh, that's a difficult question, and I think it would also be very much related to what it is, I would say, what the service is in that sense, right? And I can imagine if it would be something technical, maybe then there could be a language barrier that could potentially be a thing. At the same time, I do think that, for example, the Netherlands already does a lot of business with Colombia when it comes to sort of flower trading and that kind of stuff. So I think there are a lot of, therefore, I think also the Holland House is there in Bogota, right? And so there's already a lot of interactions, I think, definitely on the trade level. So maybe that would directly connect with Laura and Rotterdam, because that's probably a sort of Bogota-Rotterdam connection in that sense. So I can imagine it would be the language thing. But yeah, it would really depend on what the context of the business is, I would say.
I mean, 90%, more than 90% people in the Netherlands speak English. So if you can have like a decent English, have all your communications in English, have a company rep in English, and your website and all your investors deck and all these things in English, you have a way to the Netherlands, Like I say to everybody, Dutch is not an easy language to learn. You should learn it, but it's not that you cannot make a life and make business here in English. You can do it. So it's a good starting point, I think. So it's more about understanding the culture and having the confidence to talk to Dutch people in a way that they don't bite. You know what I mean?
True that. Yeah.
Like we don't know them. They are like the tallest people, whatever, and people can be intimidated in distance if you don't know how cute somebody from almost 2 meters tall can be. Like you can be impressed about how approachable people are. So when you don't have that knowledge because you were never living here, I think that the first thing that we need to do as internationals is to understand the culture so we can navigate better on how to understand the business and approach people. Maybe that can be a partial answer. Yeah. What do you think, Laura?
Yeah, I think in general the Dutch are pretty open-minded, so and very open to do business with other countries and with other cultures. So I don't really necessarily see challenges. I think it's just a matter of what you offer is that of additional value, and how can you add something to the table for the partner you're talking to. I think that's an important one to keep in mind. If it's something that's also available local, then it might be difficult, to make a case for your product and make a case for your partnership. But otherwise, I think open-minded is the name of the game here.
Yeah, so definitely, if the offer is good and you can get across the language barrier by speaking English and allowing yourself to just go in, let's say, and accept roll with the punches. That's probably the best word. Then it's probably relatively doable for everything, I would say. Probably very easy.
If you have something relevant to say, people will listen. That's what I said to people here. Like, it's not about if you have a friend, if you have a connection. If you go directly and you have something valuable, you have something that brings or adds something to the table, like you're saying, people will listen here, at least pointing in the right direction. So
I get many LinkedIn messages. I think LinkedIn is a very nice platform, also cross cultures and cross countries, I should say, to use. I get a lot of requests from people all over the world just asking, "Hey, can you introduce me to someone in the network?" Or, "Hey, can you help me specifically with a question I have?" Or, "Can I promote myself at Venture Cafe when I'm finally in Rotterdam?" I think it's a great platform to make use of, and something that's widely used in the Netherlands.
Yes. Here, LinkedIn and WhatsApp, especially start with LinkedIn, is 100% true.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, Angela, on that note, is there a profile of the type of entrepreneur that you see at the Rotterdam Venture Cafe or Jasper that you find in your, like incubation programs? Do you see any, let's say, profile of the type of people that normally come to Rotterdam as an innovation district or to Utrecht in that case? Can we say like what type of features? Let's say let's do an avatar together. Like what would it be? What type of approach? Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's a little bit of everything. There's so many different organizations that can be found here when it comes to startups, scale-ups, investors, corporates, service providers. You can find them all here. If we really look at Cambridge Innovation Center and Venture Cafe, where we're based. So yeah, I think it's a very eclectic mix, and if you're really looking for a good match, you will always find someone to connect with.
True that, yeah, and I definitely think that specifically maybe our incubator maybe would easier accept startups with people in it that are definitely sort of social, would like to go sort of have this outgoing kind of thing, therefore have a little bit of Rotterdam characteristics, I would say. Very highly motivated, really dare to accept the punches, let's say, get up and do it again, and just go with that vibe. And so this sounds like a sort of very extrovert kind of profile, but it can also be an introvert person in that sense. And definitely if that works well with the chemistry of the rest of a team or something like that, then yeah, that would be good. But I think, yes, maybe sort of in general, you need these characteristics in the Netherlands, I would say, to succeed.
Yeah,
I think the Netherlands and Rotterdam, but probably Utrecht as well, is really open to international talent. And we really stimulate talent locally. I mean, we bring in kids from school already, ranging from age 4 to 20 something, to already kind of make them understand what entrepreneurship is like, what innovation is like, and so that they can consider it in their careers in the future. But definitely also international talent is super interesting, and I'm sure that you can, if you're interested in basing yourself in the Netherlands, that you can add some value to the table here.
About
many opportunities.
Because that's the question to wrap it up. Like how we can join forces to increase that impact. Like how visible is the international community in what you're facing, not only in Rotterdam or Utrecht, but also in your own communities. How many startups are international, or like do you see a lot of internationals in your community, and how we can increase that impact? Apart from doing events like this for international entrepreneurs, what else can we do to increase the impact of international entrepreneurship in the Netherlands?
Well, apply, reach out to Lara, reach out to you, Maria, or to me, of course, and go and see if we can start the conversation. And I would say they're always here also, I think about half of the startups here are also from outside of the Netherlands, or people from outside of the Netherlands. So yeah, there's a lot here already, and I would say just take the jump and try to test the water in that sense.
Literally? Okay, no. Laura, what about you? Like how we can increase the impact of international entrepreneurs? Like what do you have in place at Rotterdam or also in the Netherlands to increase that impact? I mean, it's important to really see how the Netherlands is preparing to manage all that amazing talent and to have it in a way that you can have a fast track into entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's many programs here to help expat get settled in the Netherlands. We have locally Rotterdam Expat Center that really can take care of everything you need when we land here as sort of a soft landing program. There's many organizations that you can make use of that can give you that warm introduction. And I think at Venture Cafe, for a reason we program everything in English, right? And that's we also like the Dutch language a lot, but that's really because we want to be inclusive and want to be open to everyone. So we truly believe that everyone who has a great idea and wants to start their business should get access to the expertise and the network that we have here. So yeah, I would welcome everyone here. If you land in Rotterdam or Utrecht, but you're visiting Venture Cafe in Rotterdam and you're available on a Thursday between 5 and 7 o'clock, stop by, because we're always open here to listen to what you need and to really help you take the next step with your business in the Netherlands or in Rotterdam.
Amazing. And since you launched today your summer school, we're going to share the links and everything that you have for
Awesome.
people.
Yeah.
I like this intercity direct type of vibe that you're bringing, guys, like with 10 weeks program and like really fast, like, take advantage of this summer and get things done in the Netherlands. That's basically the message.
Exactly.
Make it happen in the Netherlands, yes. So yeah, thank you for this time. The time was like flying as always. Really interesting.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the time, for sharing.
Thanks for the opportunity, Maria.
Thank you.
And that's it. We stay in touch. Everybody, please, this is recorded. Share this video. Make sure that all your friends can see it, can watch the video and get information. I think that the first thing that we can do to increase the impact is to showcase, who are the key players, share this knowledge, share this content, and make ourselves reachable, which what we're doing now is exactly that. So yeah, stay tuned. Have a nice evening, everybody. And enjoy your evening.
Enjoy the rest of your event tomorrow. And thanks for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.